And now, broadcasting on Gary Rockman Radio, it's time for Connection with Gary Rockman, your real estate rock star. Real estate is the center of all communities. Gary will connect the dots on how wealth, health, and education are all a part of a strong community through real estate. If you're buying your first house or building a real estate portfolio, this show will inspire and motivate you to go out and achieve your Rockman.
Hey, this is Gary Rockman, your real estate rock star, and you are listening to Connection. Welcome to Connection. Welcome to today's show. I hope your week has been as great as mine has been. It's been a busy week. We'll get into some of that. Okay? Yeah, that's enough today. But it wasn't good this week. We had some cool days. Beautiful day, a little rainy. Supposed to rain most of the day, but nevertheless, the weather is spring, so I am very happy about that. So, don't know where you are in the country, but that's what we've got going on this end, on this side of the country, East Coast, baby, Baltimore. What else is in the news? So, our mayor, folks, I think some of you already know, our mayor to a bit of a jam, right? She's been out on sick leave with pneumonia, but I guess right when she was hospitalized in the hospital, some information came out on Mayor Pugh that where she has had some book deals. Some people who purchased her books in large quantities, who were contract winners here in the city. So it's not looking real good. Nevertheless, the feds actually raided her home yesterday. I think they also raided maybe even a staff member's home. Not looking good. The governor, also the city council had already felt that they came back unanimously saying that she should resign. Now the governor is chiming in. This is the largest city in Maryland, so it's just not looking good. I pray that what she's accused of is not the case. I pray that it not being the case, if that is the result, that or if that is truth, that the truth come out and exonerate her. At the same time, unfortunately, if it is true, then this is a horrible thing, not only for her, but for, again, the city of Baltimore. We really need to be moving forward, and these types of things don't allow us to do so. So hopefully folks around the country can pray for us on that piece. Another note. So trending right now, and I want to talk about in today's show, is basically, title of today's show is it okay to go to your kid's school with your ass out? That's the name of the show today. Is it okay for you to go to your kid's school with your ass out? Man, so we'll get into that in a moment, but hot article written in Essence Magazine. Principal out of Houston had to write a letter, had to kind of come up with a dress code, not for the students, so we'll get into that stage on Connection. But before and without further ado, read the blog. So this blog is still the one that I wrote for March. I wrote it late in March, so I wanted to give it more time. And I'll be releasing the April blog, or perhaps maybe I'll write two and do an April. But nevertheless, the March blog, and you can get that if you're watching this on YouTube. You can go to my website, GaryRockman.com, and pick that up. And if you're, of course, getting the show by going to my website, then you know where to find it. At the bottom of the page, go to the blog section and just check them out. All right. So, that being said, here we go. Folks, takes me a little time sometimes here to get my eyes right. Get older, you get older. Once you hit that, it was amazing how I had, I was always nearsighted. I could see far, I could see things close, but then you get older and wow, it's amazing how even things that, even close things, even things that are right there, it's hard to see them. So I'm noticing that I typically have to have my readers on. Unfortunately, to even read books and things like that, I'm a dinosaur. I love to read the book. I got friends, and they're probably getting more books because they do the audio book. I'm a dinosaur. I like to read and highlight the book, and you can do that now, even with audio books or on Kindles and things like that. You can highlight, but I like putting my own little notes in, writing, and whatever. So that's my quirk, but I need the reader. So bear with me, folks. But here it is. It's called, if you go again, look for the march. It says, "What say you, white privilege? What is America but a system of narcissistic privilege, so laced in greed and destruction it knows no morality? I have been a student of history as far back as I can remember. Because of this, I have grown with an understanding that in order to achieve greatness and not succumb to the culture, I had to focus on a greater purpose than the desires for material success. I had to search my soul for what I believe is the real purpose of my own existence. It could not be a life chasing money. It could not be one of power over others seeking worldly possessions, for these quests can be easier to obtain if I were willing to compromise my morality. I had instead chosen a life ultimately more fulfilling and what I believe more sustainable, however, oftentimes harder and more challenging. I too have struggled to not allow the little self on my shoulder to distract me. I too have drifted away from my purpose to only arrive at a place of disappointment. Not because I didn't hit the mark, but because the shiny object, ego, was so appealing it caused me to doubt my inner voice, to question my existence, and instead consider selling out for what I know to be fool's gold by cheating and cutting corners. Thankfully, I have attracted guides, even angels, to get me back on the path that allows me to live a life of purpose and freedom. It is because of this blessing that I am so firm in my convictions. As I reflect on our current environment where the cream rising to the top is becoming more apparent to the masses, I give pause. I, like so many black people, have always known the system was an unjust one. I have always known this firsthand as a young child from a single-parent household living well below the poverty line, living in communities that lacked equal resources, even as equal to poor whites with similar backgrounds as mine. So this new reality, naive, that rich whites and privileged cheat to get their children in better schools, is not new information for those living black in America. It is and always has been our reality since the first ship searching for a new world led by William Bradford arrived at Plymouth Rock. Since the knowledge that Christopher Columbus could not have discovered land that had been occupied for thousands of years before his existence. It has always been Black America's reality since knowing we could die in every war fighting valiantly to defend homeland only after winning to be treated worse than the enemy we died to conquer. The true reality is that not only Black America, but Black people everywhere have been the cream. We have played by the rules of a game never designed for us ever to win. We have and we continue to be questioned on our intelligence and ability. We still find no justice in a criminal justice system where people and often lesser crimes deal with us more harshly and less humane. Yet, even with these blatant discriminations, we rise. We continue to bear the blows of hatred, and although not easy, we rise. So the real question is not rather do privileged whites cheat, steal, or murder for self-gain, but rather in order to save their own souls and the souls of their future generations, will they change? This has been the true hope of black people. It has not been of our own acceptance, but that such an inhumane people would one day correct the error of their ways, so that we can all return to a time of true purpose and alchemy. If not, America will continue to be a system of narcissistic privilege laced in greed and destruction that knows no morality, and with its own demise will inevitably be itself. So, folks, that is the blog for March. Check it out. I will be writing a new one for April real soon here. Hopefully you'll get that one, and you'll like that one. You'll love it. I mean, you guys can chime in on these suckers too. I mean, hopefully people are getting them and understanding them and appreciating them and all that good stuff. That's what's happening. That's what's up. So before actually that blog actually brings me up to something else that I kind of do really want to share a bit with you guys, and that is we talk about history a bit. So it's been really kind of a good week, stressful, good stress, I guess. My daughter has been on her ancestry at school. So it's not called ancestry, but I won't even get into that this week on this call, really, on this talk on today's show. But what's going on is she was, I actually did some research on ancestry and found out some amazing history about my family. I was able to, at least on my paternal side, I was able to go as far back to find out at least like the early 1800s that showed I have a grandfather and a grandmother who were definitely slaves. In addition to that, though, on my maternal side, I couldn't get back that far. But in addition, on the maternal side, that grandfather was also a Union soldier and part of the 65th Regiment, which is part of the African American Civil War Memorial in Washington, D.C. So it was, man, I'm telling you, you're talking about just seeing the history on the screen. So I'm on Ancestry and I'm looking at this stuff, and just seeing it on the screen was wow. I mean, it hit me hard, right? I mean, it was good. I was glad to find the information out, but just seeing like the records kind of listed as slaves, then seeing him listed, his draft record or his his Union card, very, very humbling. Man, I almost went to tears just kind of looking at that. So anyway, a lot of information, and you can really get addicted to the Ancestry.com piece. You can really get addicted to this stuff, man. I mean, hours and hours you're looking, and it's leading you on all types of different limbs, a tree, whatnot, different branches are branching off, and a lot of information. And I've been a member for many years now, and I've kind of allow my membership to expire and, go back and renew and that type of thing. The information stays even if your membership expires. But I've done, year at a time here, 6 months at a time there. And a lot of times I've walked away because it was just so much information. It was just so, I got addicted, and it was like, couldn't really pull away. So the only way I could get away from it was to kind of just leave it alone altogether. And so I did that. But this time, that was what I was able to find out, helping my daughter with this whole piece. And she has been, wow, it's been something for her too, something for her as well. But this blog just makes me think about all of the sacrifices that we've made in this country as a people. All of the sacrifices. I mean, from being slave owners. It was forced, but it still was a sacrifice. I mean, we built this country. A of the buildings in Washington D.C., the White House, the Capitol, built by slaves. And when I say slaves, I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. These are people who were forced into slavery. When I think about my kids' school, they go to McDonough, and John McDonough was the biggest landowner in Louisiana and in Maryland. And again, he got his wealth from having slaves, and basically they built the school. And so I always share that with my kids so that they walk around campus with a pride, with a pride, knowing that it was really their ancestors who built this. And though they may have a statue of John McDonough, understanding who that real person is, and that's just that school, right? I mean, it's not just the John McDonoughs, it's the Jeffersons, it's the Washingtons, it's so many. But I wanted to make sure that I'm clear with them that the true history is shared, that they understand that John McDonough was a man who owned slaves. And there's nothing good about that. But it kind of segues me, I guess, into the conversation that I want to have today, because I was just reading, the whole article. There's the sister in Houston, the principal in Houston, and I say sister because she's black, but she basically had to go ahead and put a dress code on the records because she had too many of her parents coming to school inappropriately dressed. And she wrote, like I said, she wrote up a letter with that information, basically the new rules that were going down. And so afterwards, you had all of these folk who were upset with her for writing these rules. So you got all over Facebook, all over social media, period. It's just kind of blowing up. People are angry, like they're her. You got folk like, if this was a white person who wrote this, even those who are supportive of it would be angry as hell and saying it was racism. This only happening because it is a black woman, or the demographic about is black, etc., etc. So you got all these different folk, and they're all over the place. They're bananas. They're going crazy. They're angry, and I actually don't get why there's so many of us that don't understand or can get where she's at on this. My personal piece is how can you think it's okay? How can you think it's okay to go to your kid's school, right, with your ass out? You've got people, and the reason why I bring it up from the standpoint of kind of where I'm paralleling this, or how I'm bringing this in from what I was speaking before, just about our heritage and what we've been and what we've done in this country, is oftentimes we will use white people as the benchmark. We will talk about how I see white people come to school sometimes in pajamas. And we will justify the fact that white people do this ignorant shit as if that makes it somehow okay. And I'm sorry, but that doesn't make it okay. Just because white folks do it doesn't make the shit okay. Nor does it make it okay or bad for her to speak on it as a principal, because she may be speaking to majority of the population may be black. So we have an issue. One, we feel again like as if we're airing our dirty laundry, like people don't actually see the shit that we're doing. Two, like I don't think that she went to Essence magazine with the dress code. She went to the parents, and a parent took it to leak the story or what have you to Essence magazine or to the local news, or however Essence got the article or found out about it. The point is that the principal was just doing what a principal does and trying to enforce something that she really shouldn't even have to enforce. Okay? You got all types of excuses. You got people saying, if they're poor, then, they may not have this or that either. Or, if they're in a rush, they shouldn't be able to not come up to school. If it's an emergency, you got to talk to a teacher. You shouldn't be able to ban them from the school. You got folks saying that, there's not enough interaction from parents to now you put up another rule or something else that they have to adhere to, then you may not have the activity. All of this is some low expectation, accept mediocrity type of shit. When are we gonna get off of that? Look, my mother, as I've shared before, suffered from depression all my life. I saw my mom, really in dark places in her mind. Okay? In addition to that, I grew up on welfare. I'm a welfare kid. Okay? Food stamps, the whole nine. Right? Evicted by the age of 10 over 12 times. That's just me. My brother's 11 years older than me. I don't know how many times he experienced that shit. But me, by the time I was 10, I can remember 12 times. And we kept moving after I was 10. We kept moving. But I'm just giving you an example. My mama never came up to my schools with her ass out, with rollers in her head, or inappropriately dressed. So this is not anything, this ain't got shit to do with your social economics. Nothing. This has nothing to do with if you're black. This is not a fucking black culture thing. This is not, just because you black don't mean that part of the culture is you sag your fucking pants or you wear clothes that make your ass just out for everybody to see. That ain't got nothing to do with black culture. That's just ignorance. Now, look here, I'm not judging, because basically, look, if you are in a place where that doesn't matter, I mean, hey, I'm cool with it. I'm not that dude. I'm not misogynist. I'm not like, women can't show cleavage or, trying to be the woman police of what they wear, or even cats that want to wear their pants sagging. Hey, man, it ain't my thing. I'm encouraging it and enforcing it and instilling in my son, that's not the way that you wear your pants, son. Roll like that. My players on my football team, I'm not having it there. But hey, if your parents are cool with it and you doing something with them, or you're adult and you rock that way, that's on you. Cool, do what you do. When you bring your ass to school, have some decorum. That's all. Have some decorum. And don't tell me that you were so in a rush that you couldn't put on a pair of pants instead of pajamas. You weren't leaving. It wasn't a fire. This because they call you up to school don't mean the fucking house is burning. The only time you should end up outside in your underwear, folks, is when the fucking house is burning. The only time maybe pajamas are permitted is when the house is burning, you pick the newspaper off your front door. Okay, what I'm saying, you rolling the trash maybe to the corner. I get it. But get your ass in a car, drive to your kid's school, or some of y'all walking to your kid's school down the blocks, into the building with your motherfucking pajamas on. Or with leggies or your pants. Some of the sisters, they cool, right? I'm not tripping on yoga pants or leggies. The lady probably is not tripping. She don't care if you came in your leggies or your yoga pants. But some women take it too damn far. And this is a high school, this is a principal. She's a high school principal, and she's got parents, mothers, coming up to the school with the labia majora showing. You hear what I'm saying? And I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But labia majora showing. Yo, if I'm in high school, I'm looking at your moms like, what? I'm 17, I'm 16, whatever, I'm 18 years old. I'm looking at your moms. That is not the place for that. You got my security guards looking at you, your ass is out. You got, it's just too much for school. And we got to model and teach. Some say, hey, you can pull a parent over, if there's just one parent, whatever, a few parents, why don't you have somebody in there that can talk to them, so this is not the appropriate way to dress. Only in motherfucking, if it was that easy. My wife is a school social worker in the inner city schools here in Baltimore. If it was that easy. One, this is happening in too many places, too frequently. So the principal probably was like, yo, this is out of control. It's not one or two parents. It's a whole bunch of folk doing it. And secondly, if she did actually have two and somebody went to them on a humble, if the person perceives it the wrong way, you have an issue of somebody isolating you or singling you out, and you got a big legal case and the whole nine. So she sends it out and puts it out for the whole student body, the whole school. This is the rule. This is what we're gonna actually enforce. And you have parents and people all over social media talking about, yo, I dare her. How does she have the rate? She's tripping. All this. And I am really tripping on how many people are tripping. Because this is like a no-brainer. And I'll use this as my analogy. You don't see this shit happening when you see people in court. I've been going to landlord-tenant court for 19 years. I have yet to see anyone come to court with their ass out or with pajamas on. Now you get those rare occasions where somebody, a cat, will be sitting in the courtroom with a hat on, or you'll get those rare occasions where somebody will have some saggy pants on, right? But typically, what will happen, even before they come up to the judge, is the sheriff will check them. The sheriff will tell them to take off their hats, right? If they caught them coming in with their pants sagging, they tell them to pull up their pants. And they pull their pants up, they take their hat off, they don't have no words. No words. If they up to the judge and the sheriff didn't see it, right, and they didn't catch it, typically, like I said, it's not a hat thing at that point, but maybe your pants are sagging or something like that, then the judge will check them and they pulling up their pants. Now, like I said, rare occasions have I seen that even happen where it got to that point, because most people, when they come to court, they got this shit together. Now, I don't mean you came in the 3-piece suit, I'm not talking, but they come in at least dressed appropriate for where they are. What would make us think that going to your kid's school, it would be okay for you to have on clothes that your ass is popping out because your dress is too short? What would make us think that it's okay for you to be sagging with your pants hanging beneath your ass at school? What would you think it's appropriate for you to be in your pajamas, your sleeping wear, your private household wear out in public? What would make you think that that is okay? Where is Big Mama? This is, to me, an eroding situation, or an erosion of a people where Big Mama has become she's basically as old as Mama. Because Big Mama, right, who was the matriarch of the family, would have checked your ass when you was a youngster, so you would know that by the time you had your own kids, you don't roll like that. That's just not how you roll. It's the same thing when you see folk at church, right? And it's getting so, we've been so far away from mosques and churches where people just come as you are. And they come as the fuck they are. There is no decorum. They don't care who sees their ass cheek, nothing else. And, half of them sitting in the front, they showing they got their legs partially open so the pastor and the deacon can take a peek. We have lost our effing minds. This ain't a black thing. This is a decorum thing. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. If you come to your kid's school dressed inappropriately, you need to make a hoop-out face and take your ass home. Come back when you're ready to sit down and talk business. This is your kid's place of business. You couldn't come to your profession. You can't walk into your job with your clothes hanging off you or just inappropriately dressed. So why do you think you would be able to go into your school, your children's school building? It is sad that we have to have these discussions. It is sad because there's so many other things that are going on in society, in our kids' lives, in schools, that we need addressing, that we fucking don't need to be addressing how the parents walk their ass up in the school. But here we are. Here we are. We're supposed to be modeling and teaching for our children. for future generations. And the principal has to take time out of her busy day. Do you understand what it's like to be a school teacher or a principal or a social worker or a counselor in a school? It is crazy. Even when the school is a good school, even when the school is run effectively and you've got great staff and, just energetic, excited children, it's crazy. But when you have what many of our schools have is inadequate teachers, poor conditions, students who are angry as hell, rightfully so sometimes, who are being miseducated, misguided, so the stress tension in the building is crazy, off the chain. And then you have to sit down at your desk, ponder over how you are going to word your letter to address the no, but often too many parents who come to speak to you or one of your teachers or staff, and they are inappropriately dressed. Think about Me Too for a moment. Think about how you have one of your male teachers now speaking to a parent, and he's trying to stay focused and trying to do the right thing. But you got a mama who let it all hang out. If he says anything, he says, "You look nice today." He says anything, you can have a lawsuit. Come on, folks. Come on. These are subject matters that we don't have the fucking time to deal with. But yes, it's important. That's the craziness about it. We shouldn't have to talk about it because it should not even have to come up. She shouldn't have had to sit down at her desk and come up with the right words of how am I going to frame this? What am I going to talk about? What things do I have to discuss and say no more? That shouldn't even have had to happen. I'm sure she got some kids in her school right now who are not reading on grade level, high school. Many who may even be reading on a middle school or elementary school level, and they're in high school. Don't have the math that they need, right? Or don't have some resources at home that they perhaps need, right? That she has to address all of that, which is really something major than this. But some parent got all angry and puffed up that they took this to the media because they were so angry. And I wouldn't give a fuck if the principal was white. In this case, she's black. But if you're right, you're right. I am all for, I said, I'm free. I love the woman's body, man. What? I am like crazy sick about the woman's body. Love the woman's body. My wife knows I love the woman's body. I've been studying the woman's body. I maybe even should have had a call, and maybe I was supposed to be a gynecologist or some shit. I have been loving the woman's body all my life. I was reading books on the woman's anatomy. I was in high school, real talk, talking to my friends in high school, my girls, like, yo, explaining things to them that they didn't know about themselves, and I'm still that dude. I'm all about women being able to express themselves however they want to, present themselves in their sexuality, and be bold with it if they choose to be bold with it. I'm all for it. I embrace that. Even though I'm Muslim, I'm one of those different dudes that's different, that says, yo, woman is God. Fall down on your knees. And what? I'm that dude. So this is not, yo, she can get it. No, this is on everybody. This is dudes too. This is just a place. It's schools, because I don't know how you get down, right? This is a place of business. We're not entertainers. This is a school, right? You're a musician. Hey, you show up like you show up. Prince had pantsless, assless pants. That was Prince. He's an entertainer. It's cool. It's understandable. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Kiss and all those cats. You know what I mean? That's part of who they were. Their gimmick. But as parents, going to our kids' school, there's a certain level of decorum that we must have. That's it. And if you're that parent that's going to school with your pajamas on, you're tripping. It don't take that long. If you brush your teeth, you ain't got stink ass breath. You're not going to the teach with stink ass breath. So if you could brush your teeth, throw on a pair of pants, a t-shirt. We ain't saying you got to be, suited and booted. We're not saying you got to go and put on makeup and do all that extra. But even on emergency, you can't justify that. You cannot justify that. Some people come to the school and they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know that they're dressing that way. They know that how they're being perceived. They're hoping in some ways that they're getting the attention. This ain't the place to get the attention. This is not the place. When my daughter was going to she was in a preschool, 4-year-old preschool. It was a public school. It had a preschool 4-year-old. I went up to 5th grade, and I would, drop her off in the morning. And, you see people, white folk going in with pajamas on. It was just crazy. It was fucking crazy. I used to look at them like, what the fuck are they doing? House shoes on and shit. Down the street, house shoes on and fucking in pajamas. Unacceptable. Unfucking acceptable. We can do better. This is not who we are as a people. We don't have a history of doing this type of shit. This is new wave. Maybe last 20, maybe 30 years we've been doing this type of just ignorant ass shit. This ain't got to do with my black legacy and heritage. Black folk for generations, even before white folk came to this land. Because we've been here and back and forth and all over the place. We've been here before white folk, before slavery, before 16, 19. Some of us was here, left here, got shipped to Europe and Spain, and then had to get shipped to Africa and then shipped back here. I mean, we've been all over. It's been crazy. But even with all that being said, we don't have no history of this type of foolishness. Even we was piss poor. Jim Crow. Jim Crow and the West Side and the south side of Chicago, the areas in which Quincy Jones and all those cats grew up in on the south side of Chicago. Even back then, we dirt poor. Mamas didn't go to school with their fucking ass showing. They didn't go to school with their pajamas on. And if they did, somebody thought they was crazy. They were certifiably nuts. That wasn't the norm. We taking shit that's ignorant and we trying to make it pop. We trying to make it funky. Make it the new hot shit. Ain't nothing hot about that shit. Put some motherfucking clothes on before you take your ass to your kid's school. Period. That's my show, folks. That's my show for today. I had to get that off my chest. Again, we do better. We must. We can do better. We can do better, folks. And we must. So, folks, I'm your host, Gary Rockman, your real estate star. You have been listening to Connection. And until next week, baby, keep moving forward.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and pop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nub. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on Report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still life of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry Hahn women liberationists.